All right, folks, this is Jason with the Primal Outdoors channel, and today we are here out on the Oregon coast. I'm going to be talking to you guys today about the Jackery 2000 and how I plan on using it to be able to save fuel and stay out in remote locations longer. Now, this isn't going to be a super geeky review. If you want to see a review like that, I suggest you check out Professor Hobo's channel. He puts the Jackery 2000 through all kinds of different tests using all kinds of cool test equipment. My video is going to be more about how I'm going to use the Jackery to save on my fuel costs when I'm out exploring remote areas. So like always, you can find all the specs for the Jackery 2000 on Jackery's website, but here are a few of the more important specs that we'll go over. So the Jackery is a 2,160 watt-hour lithium-ion battery, has 1,000 charge cycles, and then it will drop to about 80% of its capacity. It has a BMS, overvoltage, short circuit, and temperature protection. It can be charged by a traditional 120 volt AC outlet, solar, or a typical 12 volt DC cigarette lighter that you would find in your car. It has three 120 volt AC ports that are pure sine wave, two USB-A ports, two 100 watt USB-C PD ports, and a 12 volt DC cigarette lighter port, and a flashlight. The Jackery did come well packaged. I received the base package, which included the solar generator and two 200 watt Solar Saga panels. Everything did come in their own packages because they are large items. The base price on this is $35.99, and the price does go up from there if you add more panels. There didn't seem to be an option to purchase a solar generator without panels, which I found a little bit disappointing because I think some people would like to just own the generator itself. All right, guys, so let's do a quick kind of walk around of the Jackery 2000. So one of the things that you might notice right away is we have a foldable handle. Up front here, we have your display, which gives you all the information that you need about the Jackery, what the charge is, state of charges, how much is going in, how much is going out. You have three 120 volt pure sine wave AC ports. Over here, you have two USB-A ports and two 100 watt power delivery ports, USB-C. Over here, you have your typical 12 volt cigarette lighter port at 10 amps. You have your display button where you can turn the display on and off, and then behind this button here you have a light that can be turned on and off and has a SOS option. In the back here you have your charging ports. So you have a typical AC port that's in the back. You don't no longer need a little brick. It just plugs in with the extension cord. It's a very typical type of cord, so even if you lose the Jackery one, pretty much any computer style cord will plug right inside here, and you can charge it to an AC outlet. And then you have your barrel connectors where you can plug in the solar panels or the DC cigarette lighter charging port. Alright folks, so in the pros section of the videos, I usually try to go over all the little things that I really like about a particular product. In the case of the Jackery 2000, there are definitely some things about it that I am happy that Jackery did. One of those things being the foldable handle here is very nice, and something that I have kind of complained about for a long time. I really hated the fixed handle. It just made the Jackery very difficult to store and find places to tuck away inside my van or other setups that I've had along the way. The other thing that I'm really excited about the Jackery did on this particular unit is the 100 watt power delivery ports. So I actually can run my MacBook Pro directly off the Jackery without needing to run the Apple charge pack, which I hate. I hate the Apple charge pack. It's just awkward, doesn't fit anywhere well, and I find it super inconvenient. So being able to run right straight into the Jackery is going to be a nice convenience when I can do that. But that's not really the real reason, you know, why I wanted to add the Jackery into our system. With the higher gas prices, Megan and I are finding ourselves wanting to boondock longer in locations and try to cut as much as we can any frivolous driving out of our trips into different locations. And the frivolous driving I mean by, like, if we're in a remote spot we don't want to have to keep making trips to town to resupply. So we're looking at different solutions to basically be able to bring more supplies to us, create a base camp, and then operate out of that base camp. And for me, operating out of that base camp means going out and filming content in a remote area, and then being able to have a place I can return back to be either hang with Megan, to do editing and do that kind of stuff, but not necessarily have to completely remove myself from that remote location to be able to get back to supplies and things like that. So what we're going to be doing is bringing the drifter trailer back into our setup, and we'll be using it as basically a storage location. So we can either take extra gear that maybe we want to use in a specific location, like in this particular case, where we're on the coast, we want extra fishing gear and clamming gear and things like that we typically don't want to have in our van. The other big thing is though, I want to be able to bring the Snowmaster along with me. We both have refrigerators in our vans, but I want to be able to bring the Snowmaster as extra refrigeration, so that way we can bring extra food for not only us, but Daisy, who is on the raw diet. Her food takes a lot of place in the refrigerator. So being able to bring extra food will make it to where you don't have to go back to town as often to resupply on that. Another big thing is going to be water, being able to bring extra water. Now, in some locations where we have rivers and streams, I've got another product I'm going to be showing you guys that's going to help me with that. But like say in this particular location, there is no fresh water around, so we're limited to the water supplies we have on our van. So being able to bring extra water is going to be an important part of that. Now, where the Jackery fits into that plan is I want a way to have a power system on the trailer, because if we're going to bring the Snowmaster, we're going to need power to run that Snowmaster. So I'm going to be able to have the Jackery, I'm going to set it up in the trailer to run the Snowmaster, and then be able to put the solar panels up on top of the trailer, and then that way we can use the Jackery to run that system. It will also give us some extra power, because I'm going to also set the trailer up as, again, like I said, kind of a base camp. So we'll do a lot of our outdoor cooking and things like that over at the trailer. And that way we can do things like run Instapot or any other devices that we need to run while we're at the trailer. Also, you guys know that I've been using an e-bike here and there on the channel. Having the Jackery is also going to be how I'm going to charge the e-bike, is use the power on the trailer. The nice thing about the trailer too is we can keep the trailer kind of set out in a space where it's more in direct sun. And hopefully in situations where it's very hot and we want to have the vans in shade, we can have the trailer kind of more in that direct sun, have it charging, be able to do stuff, and maybe be able to tuck the vans in a little bit into some shade. And if we need to, because the power systems on the vans are running a little bit low, we can always run an extension cord over and plug into the Jackery and supplement our power a little bit off the Jackery, which would have its panels out in the sun. So that's just a few different ideas and things that I plan to do, and a lot of this stuff is we're going to be kind of figuring out as we go. But yeah, that is the main reason why I wanted this system, is to have a complete power system that had a sufficient amount of amp hours that could run the trailer and the accessories that I want to have on the trailer for a base camp. All right, so let's just go through just a couple cons, a couple things that I wish that was a little bit better about the Jackery 2000. So first thing is, with a unit this size, and especially the way that I plan to use it in the trailer and having it being the main power system for our trailer, I really wish Jackery would have built in the ability to monitor and control the Jackery via Bluetooth, via an app on my phone. With it being in the trailer, I don't always want to have to walk over to the trailer to check on the Jackery. With my Redarc system in the van, I can just pull up my phone, look at my app, and I know what's going on with my complete system. Plus, I can control and turn things on and off all through my phone. I would love to see that same capability with these bigger Jackeries, especially like this 2000, 1500, and the 1000. I think that would be great. If I could see what the charge is, how much charge is coming in, and also be able to turn these ports on and off. One of the things that we're going to be using the Jackery for with the trailer is we're going to set the Starlink up at the trailer, and it's going to be running off the Jackery as well. And we don't need the Starlink running at night when we're asleep. It would be nice if I could just pull up the app and turn off the AC ports, and then which would shut the Starlink off, you know, and without having to actually go and access the trailer or wherever the location is in here. So to me, a big con with a big unit like this is not that they didn't build in Bluetooth. I pretty much feel like in this day and age, any electronic device like this should have Bluetooth capability and some way of controlling it through your phone app. So the other con for me is Jackery continue to use barrel connectors on the back of the Jackery for charging. I would really like to see them switch to like a Mini Anderson type port so that the panels and the Jackery itself had the Mini Anderson type ports. I just think that would open up a lot of different options for people to not only use the Jackery, but use the solar panels. In my case, I really do like these solar panels because they got little kickstands. So they're a little bit more easy for me to use than say my Redarc panel, foldable panel, because I can set them out on the ground and kick them up towards the sun. And if these panels had a more universal port, I could be able to tap them in right into my van, have a plug on my van, plug them into my van, and supplement my solar charging on the van. So it would just make those panels a lot more useful to me besides just using them to charge the Jackery. But also, I think having the DC ports on the back of the Jackery would just offer people more options if they wanted to use their own solar arrays to be able to charge the Jackery. I just think giving people that flexibility would make the Jackery more attractive to potential buyers. So I think that's something that Jackery should do. The other thing that I don't like is the only thing that you really get in the way of a DC option is this cigarette lighter port. I would really love to see Jackery add in some switchable DC circuits, again using something like Mini Anderson ports that you could, especially in situations like where I'm going to add it to the trailer, or if somebody wanted to use the Jackery as a dual battery setup in their van or other overland setup, that you could be able to hardwire different components in and plug them into the Jackery. And then again, if it had a Bluetooth app, you would be able to control those circuits on or off. So if you had, say, some hardwired lighting in your vehicle and you wanted to, you could plug right into the Jackery and then through a Bluetooth app be able to turn that circuit on or off and turn your lights on or off. I think that, again, especially with these larger units, would make this a lot more attractive to van lifers and people building out small trailers like what I plan to. So my final con is with the solar panels themselves. They're a little bit long. I do like the fact that they're 200 watts, and I do really like the kickstands on them. It makes it easy to direct them at the sun. But what I don't like is the length. The length makes them a bit on the cumbersome side, trying to shift them around and get them set up. So as the sun is kind of moving through the sky and you're trying to continually maybe shift those panels to get maximum power efficiency out of them, you know, kind of shifting those long panels is a little bit cumbersome. It's not the end of the world, but it just is a hair cumbersome in my opinion. Alright, so let's give kind of my final thoughts on the Jackery 2000. You guys understand how I plan to use it, but I think what Jackery is kind of trying to compete with here is actual physical gas generators. Some of you might be aware that in California they're getting ready to start establishing some bans against gas generators. Now there's a whole thing to that and you need to do some research on it, but I think that's kind of the market Jackery is really trying to go after, is with these bigger units, is kind of as a gas generator replacement. Now there's obviously pros and cons to that as well, as far as, like, you know, a gas generator, when it runs out of gas, you just go put more gas in it, and it doesn't matter if the sun's out or not, you can just go put more gas in it. With this, you know, it is nice that it's quiet, doesn't make any noise, and if you do have sun and you have the panels, it does charge fairly quickly, and if you have all 6 panels, it charges very quickly. So obviously give and take there. Now, in my opinion, who this I think is actually going to be good for is going to be the weekend to week-long adventurer. You know, if you're looking for something to be able to power a refrigerator in your overland vehicle and maybe some other devices, I think this is a great solution for you. You don't have to have any technical knowledge in how to put a dual battery system in your vehicle, and you don't have to mess with your vehicle's wiring at all, which, you know, when not done right, can be very dangerous. So I think this can be great for that. Now, if you're a full-timer living and working out of your van like myself, I still think that you're probably going to benefit from an actual built-in, properly built system that you put inside your vehicle. You're just going to have a lot more options there on amp hours, being able to adapt different gear or lighting or other types of circuits that you may need in your vehicle. It's just going to be a lot more options that way. And then a lot of the systems do have Bluetooth capability, so that way you can monitor and be able to control those systems offline, which is one of, like I said, one of the things that I feel like that the Jackery is missing. So again, weekend to week-long adventures, I think this is great. Full-timers, this is a workable solution, don't get me wrong, but I think you will benefit from an actual built-in solution all the time. I also think this is a good solution for your disaster recovery preparations. You know, even something as simple as losing power overnight, this could be a great option for you to be able to run kitchen appliances, run your electronics, things like that, to kind of give you that bit of normalcy until power is recovered. But obviously would be a good solution for bigger disasters as well. Anyways, guys, that's my thoughts and feelings about the Jackery. You guys got a little idea, a little insight to how I plan to use the Jackery in the future. Of course, follow the channel to see how some of that starts to play out for me as we start to put all this stuff into practice. And if you did like this video, please do give it a like. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those down below, and we'll catch you guys again outside.